Hello everybody, it's me Jones RMJ here. Metro systems are a defining feature in many world-class cities. When visiting a big city with an extensive metro system, you're usually just a short walk away from a metro station where you can quickly board a train and then exit at almost any other point in the city where you are yet another short walk from your destination. Metro systems usually run either underground or elevated, and are the most efficient way at quickly moving large groups of people across cities. Despite this, extensive metro systems aren't all that common in the US. There are only a few US cities that have metro systems, and even less when factoring how extensive their coverage is. There are also some big cities in the US that completely lack metro systems. Why is that? In this video, we'll be taking a look at why most US cities don't have any metro systems. Before we begin, I make a lot of content including gaming, architecture, urban planning, and more, so make sure to subscribe with the notification bell on so you don't miss out on the latest on these topics. This video topic was also the winner of a poll I put out, so if you guys want to vote on my next video topic, be sure to check my community tab for the next poll. Let's first take a look at the US cities that do have metro systems. Currently, only 11 US cities have a metro system. This includes Atlanta, Baltimore, Boston, Chicago, Cleveland, Los Angeles, Miami, New York City, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. When it comes to US cities with extensive metro systems that can start to compete with European and Asian cities, which are defined as just say having more than 5 lines, and that list drops to just 3 US cities. These include Chicago, New York City, and Washington, D.C., which have 8, 26, and 6 lines respectively. You might also find it surprising that many other big cities in the US like Dallas, Houston, and Phoenix, which are some of the fastest growing areas in the country, completely lack metro systems. So why don't many US cities have metro systems? And why do only 3 US cities have extensive metro systems? Let's take a look at some factors. The first, and what probably is the most obvious reason to a lot of people, is cost. Metro systems are very expensive to build. The average cost to build a metro system ranges from around $450 million to $1 billion US per mile to build, depending on how valuable the land is. For comparison, the average cost to build a light rail system ranges from $100 million to $300 million US per mile, and the average cost to build a 4-lane highway in an urban area ranges from only $8 to $10 million US per mile. So metro systems are more expensive than light rail systems, and significantly more expensive than highways. That being said, you probably are wondering, isn't it worth it to build metros because of how good they are at quickly and efficiently moving large quantities of people? The answer is yes, but only if there are enough people riding it to make it cost effective, which leads to the next factor, density. In order for building a metro system to make sense, there needs to be the ridership to support it. As I mentioned earlier, metro systems are really good at quickly and efficiently moving large quantities of people, and given their high price tags, they will only be cost effective in more densely populated settings since ridership will be higher and the system will be more fully utilized. To get a general idea of how much density is needed to support an extensive metro system, many large cities in Europe and Asia that have extensive metro systems usually have a population density somewhere between 10,000 and 50,000 people per square mile. When it comes to US cities, only New York, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. fall in that range, which if you remember from earlier, happens to be the only 3 US cities with extensive metro systems. Now these are just rough numbers, as I'm sure you can find some other examples, but it goes to show that density is a factor when it comes to building metro systems. Another important factor to look at was when US cities built their metro systems for those that have one. The YouTuber City Beautiful also made a video on this topic, and he found that there were 2 main time periods when US cities built metro systems. The first group of metro systems in the US were built around the turn of the 20th century. This included Chicago, Boston, New York, and Philadelphia. These cities at the time were the largest cities in the US, and the demand for rapid transit quickly became apparent as these places continued to grow more dense. This was also before the automobile was very common, so metro systems made a lot of sense at the time. The second group of metro systems in the US were built in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. This includes San Francisco, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Baltimore, Miami, and Los Angeles. Around this time, there was a major oil crisis, so the federal government provided funding for metro systems as an alternative way for people to commute into the city. The cities that built metro systems during this time took advantage of federal, state, and local funding to build these expensive systems. This goes to show that the circumstances had to be just right for these cities to commit to building a metro system. Finally, it is also worth mentioning that as the automobile became more accessible for Americans, driving soon quickly took over as the primary mode of transportation in the US. Most Americans view car ownership as freedom and look down on public transportation as the poor man's transportation, since in their minds, if you don't own a car, you must be poor and can't afford it. Now obviously that isn't true, but that's what many Americans think. Most of the fastest growing cities in the US right now are located in the Sun Belt region, which only started to grow more popular recently as many large cities have gotten more expensive and corporations seek to lower taxes. As a result, big cities like Dallas, Houston, and Phoenix, which saw most of their growth after the 1970s, were mainly designed around the car, with massive highways and sprawling urban planning. This not only made these cities far less densely populated, but they also never felt the need to build metro systems, as the vast majority of citizens that live in these cities prefer driving. Despite the car remaining dominant, that's not to say that US cities haven't been building any public transit at all. In fact, there are many studies that show that millennials and Gen Z members prefer to live in areas with good public transportation. Because of this, many cities across the US like Seattle, Portland, Salt Lake City, Denver, Dallas, Minneapolis, and many others have started to build some light rail systems, which while they are not as extensive or capable as metro systems, they still have proven to serve these small cities well since they are not as dense. There are also some extension projects going on for US cities that already have metro systems, like the Silver Line extension in Washington, D.C., which will connect the metro system to Dulles Airport, and the Red Line extension in Chicago, which will better serve the South Side. So transit projects are still happening in the US, but it seems unlikely that another US city will build a new metro system anytime soon, since most US cities that have density to support one already have one. In conclusion, metro systems are a defining feature in many world-class cities. They are the best way to quickly and efficiently move large quantities of people in major cities, and many people like using them to avoid traffic and get to places quicker and safer. Metro systems are not as common in the US as you might think because they are expensive, and most of the US cities that are dense enough to warrant a metro system already have one. That is not to say though that US cities aren't investing in public transportation anymore, as some cities have recently built light rail systems to attract millennials and Gen Z members, since studies have shown that they prefer living in areas with better public transportation. Be sure to let me know what your thoughts are on the topic down in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.